the Qur'an we believe is revelation from God, and it's the words of God. So, which were communicated through the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, over 1400 years ago in the Arabian desert, in Mecca, right? And then he moved to Medina later on, or Yathrib as it was known, and then it became known as Medina when he moved there. So the Quran is revelation from God. It's the literal words of God in the Arabic language, right? That was then communicated through the Prophet to humanity, to people. What is the Quran? If you study the Quran from cover to cover, it doesn't follow you what some would call Aristotelian logic. What I mean by that is, in the West, we have texts which are beginning, middle, and end, right? So that's a normal textbook read. If you read a storybook, it has a beginning, middle, and end. If you even read a scientific textbook, it has some sort of structure, beginning, middle, and end. The Arabic structure, or Semitic languages generally, they have a different structure, right? So it's not beginning, middle, and end. So when you read the Quran, you will see the Quran will speak about one topic, and then it will jump to a different topic, and then it'll come back to the same topic. And then it'll give you a different shade of the third topic or the second topic that was mentioned in a different way. So it'll go from one topic to a different, and sometimes it will be first-person narrative where God is speaking to you directly, and then God will go into a story, which then reflects some of the lessons that God has just mentioned through that story, right? So the Quran is structured in a very different way. That's why when people read the Quran in English, when they're used to reading normal books, right, it's very hard for them to engage in the beginning, because it follows a totally different structure of reading or understanding. So yeah, there's stories in the Quran. There are things that God says, so laws in the Quran are mentioned. There are certain principles that are mentioned. There's a lot of different things in the Quran. But if you were to take a holistic understanding of what the Quran is, or what the Quran says it is, the Quran says, what God says in the Quran, that the Quran is guidance. Hudan linnas, guidance for humanity. And hudan lil muttaqeen, another word that's used, guidance for people of taqwa, people of consciousness of God or awareness of God. So it's a book of guidance, basically, right? It's what we believe the Quran is the final revelation. It's not a new religion. Now, again, from a secular political perspective, what you see is that Islam, as with other religions, is presented as just a religion, right? So that it's something you practice in your own, behind closed doors and stuff like this. But the Quran itself, or Islam, doesn't recognize itself as a religion in that sense. It's a deen, or a way of life, right? And what's also beautiful about Islam, for me at least, is that God outlines that this is not for a specific group of people in a specific age. This is for the whole of humanity. Everyone could benefit from it if they want to. And it's not a new religion. It's from the same God that sent messengers and prophets throughout history, right? So God sent different messengers. The Quran mentions many, many messengers God sent, some by name, some not by name. But messengers were sent to different nations, different people throughout history with the same fundamental message. So the core message was always the same. Recognize your Creator, worship Him, live a good life, because you're going to be accountable on the Day of Judgment. You're going to face your Creator after death, right? So the core message was the same, but the laws and rules were different according to different times and places. So you'll see those change over time, but the fundamental message has always been very simple and the same. Worship your Creator, live a good life, you're going to return back to God, you're going to be accountable. So that's what the Quran is in a nutshell. It's guidance for humanity.